Hello, welcome, Happy New Year, and welcome along to this first Death Break Yoga session of 2022. And the theme for today's session is showing up for yourself. The reason I chose this theme is because at this time of year, there's a lot of stuff in the media and just general kind of in the ether about new you, new year, new you, as if we all need to be better than we are. And one thing that yoga philosophy teaches us is that we are all worthy just for existing. And you don't need to be a different you, that the you that you are is still worthy of love and care. And so I invite you to take today's session as something that is just for you. And I promise that by showing up, you have absolutely done the hardest part. So stick with it and take this time for yourself because you're worth it now and always. So, for those who maybe haven't been along before, you need all you need for this session is some kind of chair to sit on. Ideally, something like a dining room chair that's quite sturdy. But if you have to do it on a different kind of chair, maybe adjust the height if you can, or find a way that you can sit up nice and tall. And you can do it wearing anything at all. Although I do encourage you to take off your shoes if you're wearing them so that you can really feel your feet rooting down into the ground. And we'll begin. So I'm going to invite you to start by sitting up nice and tall. Come away from the back of the chair so that you are using your muscles of your body to sit up. And then either close your eyes or take your gaze away from the screen and look down. Then just start to bring your attention inwards first of all. And you've probably got all sorts of thoughts going round in your head. Maybe thinking about what you've been doing today, what you've got coming up later. Maybe thinking you haven't got time for this. Those are all completely normal thoughts. Just let them go. Just let them pass you by like clouds in the sky. And then to start today's session, I'm going to invite you to bring your hands one on top of the other over your heart. So just on your upper chest. And then just continuing to breathe. And maybe in doing that, you start to notice the movement of your chest a little more. Maybe you start to notice your heartbeat. And maybe in noticing those things, registering this fact that you're alive and here, and your body is working for you all the time. I'm just going to invite you to take a couple of nice deep breaths here. And then I'm also going to invite you to whisper to yourself or in your head something positive and encouraging to yourself. And imagine that you were talking to a child or a good friend who was having a hard time. But I want you to phrase it as an I statement. So it might be, I'm enough. Maybe I see you. Maybe I've got this. Something positive and encouraging and that feels right for you today. And just go with whatever's the first thing that comes up. Don't overthink it. Just something positive, loving, and encouraging. And just say it over in your head to yourself and make it an I statement. So I something. And then consider it already done. Consider that true. That little gift of love to yourself. And then I'm just going to invite you to bring your hands down, rest them on your knees, and gently open your eyes, lift your head if you've had it bowed. And then from here, let's start with some gentle, kind movements. So let's first of all just start by making some little circles with the neck. So we're just going to take some circles round, imagining that you had a pencil on the end of your nose. So we're trying to keep the face kind of forwards here rather than really crunching round at the back of the neck. And you can make those circles a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, till you feel you've gone kind of as big as you can go. And then let's flip it and take your head round in the opposite direction. I'm just warming up through the neck here. Don't worry if there's some crunchy sounds going on. It's all normal. And then this time winding the circles smaller. So getting smaller and smaller and smaller until you come back to stillness. Let's do some warm-ups now for the hands and the arms as well. So we'll start off just by lifting up the hands and just rotating the wrists first of all. If you've been working on the computer today, this might feel really nice, or if you've been doing something around the house, gardening or sewing or something like that, this might feel really good. DIY would work. And then let's start to make those circles a bit bigger. Starting to involve the forearms and the elbows, and then getting a little bit bigger too, starting to bring in the shoulders, and then making them as big as you can, really reaching up and round, sitting up nice and tall here and trying to keep the shoulders sort of away from the ears so you're not kind of hunched round. Really big circles, taking up space for yourself. And then once you get as big as you feel you can go, let's flip it and come back in the opposite direction. So some nice big circles here. And then this time we're going to get a little bit smaller and a little bit smaller as you go until you're just rotating the forearms, and then a little bit smaller again until it's just the wrists, this time in the opposite direction. Okay, well done. So let's just shake the hands out. And then we will come to some spinal flexion. I'm just going to turn my chair around so that you can see me. You don't need to move, you can stay where you are. So this time we're definitely sitting towards the edge of the chair, so you've got a bit of space behind you. Feet flat on the floor underneath your knees, then sitting up nice and tall as if somebody was pulling up through the crown of your head like you had it on a piece of string. So from here, we're going to begin by rounding the head down, rounding through the spine, tucking the chin into the chest and really exaggerating that rounding of the back there. And then let's flip it the other way, rocking forwards on the pelvis, bringing the chest forward, bringing the head up, looking up towards the top of the wall in front of you. And then let's continue alternating between those two movements. Lifting the chin up and tucking the chin forwards, rounding the back, and then arching the spine. And you can coordinate this movement with your breath if you like. So exhaling as you bring the head down, then inhaling as you bring the head up. Exhaling as you come down, and inhaling as you come up. Let's take one more round there. So tucking the chin in, and then lifting the head up. And then let's come back to a neutral spine. Okay. So from there, we're going to come up to standing. And first of all, let's take a variation of downward facing dog, but using your chair. So you don't need to move your chair again. I'm just moving it around so that you can see what I'm doing. If your chair is not a great height for this, you could use a table or the wall, or anything like that that seems to be the right height that you can get your hands on. So with the hands on the back of the chair, especially if you've got a wheelie chair, it might be better to use a table. And then from here, let's just walk the feet backwards, bringing the head down between the upper arms until you feel like you're getting a really good stretch. And almost imagining that there was somebody pulling your hips back from behind and really stretching through the arms, through the upper back, the whole length of the back, really stretching out. And this is such a good feeling if you have been sitting down a lot today and the spine can get quite kind of compressed. So this is a great stretch out for the whole back. Something you can do anytime. I quite often do this against the kitchen counter as well. Really stretching out. Then let's walk that back in. And then coming back to standing. So from here, let's take a little balance posture. And balances are always a great way to check in with where your head's at today. Because if your head is all over the place, then your balance will be off. It's just the way it goes. So they're actually quite a good measure of how you are. But just treat it as information. So no judgment. Doesn't matter if you're wobbly. Everybody wobbles sometimes. So standing beside your chair or a table or a wall or something, so you've got something there for support. Let's first of all have our support on the left hand side. And then we'll first of all focus on standing up nice and tall in what's called mountain pose. So standing with the feet about hip distance apart, nice and firmly planted. So just take a moment just to check in with the feeling in your feet, making sure that your weight is evenly balanced forwards and back and side to side, maybe even swaying a little bit until you find that nice steady midpoint. And then from there, standing up nice and tall, legs are strong, pelvis is in a neutral position, chest lifts up, shoulders roll back and down, arms are just relaxed at your sides, and your head is lengthening upwards. So lots of space around the neck. Okay, so from this nice steady standing posture, let's shift the weight over into your left leg. And you should start to feel like your right foot is just ready to lift off because your left foot is taking away weight. Now your chair is there to hold if you need that support. So we're going to come into the warm up for dancer pose. I'm just again turning around so you can see me. So taking the weight over into the left hand side and bring the right foot up behind you. Now, if you can catch that foot anywhere, whether it's the toes, the ankle, whether you can catch your trousers, your socks, whatever works for you, just see if you can grab hold of something on your lower leg there. And then bring your heel up towards your bum. And then if you can, if you've got into that shape, maybe bringing this knee down level so that it's in alignment with the one on the other side. Now you might start to feel your balance is a little bit challenged already, but just stick with it. Again, feeling really rooted down through that left leg. And then if your balance feels okay, you might lift off your left hand and bring it up, reach it up towards the sky. And imagining on that left hand side that your toes are rooting down and your left arm is reaching up towards the sky. If you're a bit wobbly, it's fine, no judgment, just doing the best that you can today. And then let's gently bring it down, release that foot, maybe have a little bit of a shake out. And then let's come over to the other side. So you might want to turn yourself round, turn the chair round, anything like that, so that you have got some support now on your right hand side. And then again, we will start in our nice tall mountain pose. So first of all, grounding the feet down, feeling nice and steady through the feet, weight evenly balanced across your 2 feet. Lifting up through the legs, pelvis is in neutral, abdominals just gently engaged to help support you. Shoulders rolling back and down, chest lifting up, and head nice and level on your spine. So from there, let's take the weight over into the right foot. Have your support ready if you need it. And this time, we're going to lift up that left foot and catch where you can. So maybe it's might be the toes, might be the ankle, might be your trousers, might be your sock, anything like that that works for you. And then if you can, if you've managed to get into this shape okay, then you might work on bringing that left knee down in alignment with the right one. And then if you've got to there and you're feeling steady, you want to challenge your balance, just lifting that right arm up, reaching up towards the sky. But however you're doing, just being kind to yourself. It doesn't matter if you're wobbly. You might have been fine on the other side, you might be wobbly on this side, might be vice versa. Maybe you can usually do this fine, but today is difficult. All of that is okay. It's just information. You are a human being, not a robot. So let's reach up through the fingers, reach down through the toes, and then let's just let that go. Relax down again, maybe have a little bit of a shake out. And then from there, let's do a move, which those of you who have been before will know well, because I do a lot of the time, because it's such a great one for moving everything around if you've been sitting down or using your body today. And that's just bringing the feet a bit wider than hip distance apart, bending the knees, and then just swinging the arms from side to side. Try and let your arms be relaxed and kind of floppy, like a bit wet spaghetti. And then apart from that, we're not doing anything in particular, but this is great for easing out the back, easing out the hips and the shoulders, and also just getting your body moving, getting your energy moving, and that'll help to energize you for the rest of the day. Okay, let's just go a couple more times and then slow it down, coming back to center. And then from there, we are going to come back to sitting. So coming back to sitting, and again towards the edge of the chair so that you've got space to move your legs. And what we're going to take a bit of a side stretch here. So I'm going to invite you to walk your feet out as wide as is comfortable for you. Then sit up nice and tall. And then from there, we're going to lean over to the right hand side and bring your elbow onto your thigh, just somewhere that works for you, but try and keep, notice I'm doing it here, so it's easily done. Try and keep your left sitting bone really grounded down into the chair. So we're not kind of lifting up on that hip. We're trying to keep even weight across both sides of the hips. And from there, let's bring the left hand up, really stretching up there. And maybe if that feels okay for you, turning the hand and reaching across. This is a seated version of a yoga posture called lateral side angle. So getting a great stretch all the way here down the left hand side, right from the hip to the fingertips. Again, bringing your attention to grounding down that hip on the left-hand side. And then let's slowly come up. And then we'll take that over to the other side. So from sitting up nice and tall, bring the left elbow onto your left knee. Make sure your right buttock is really firmly planted in the chair. Then bring the arm up. And first of all, really reaching it up, stretching away, and then maybe turning the hand and bringing it over, and maybe imagining a straight line. Doesn't matter what it actually looks like, it's what it feels like. But imagining a straight line from your right hip all the way to the tips of your right fingers. And then let's come back up, and we'll come into another move, but with the knees in the same position. So with the knees still out wide, this time bring your hands onto your, lean forwards a little way and bring your hands onto your thighs. So I'll turn to the side so you can kind of see it from there. So I'm leaning forwards a little way. So my weight, my chest's coming kind of over my knees. And then this movement, it's hard to explain sometimes, but if you'll get the feeling of it is what you want to get. So it's leading with the shoulder and bringing, first of all, the right shoulder down and kind of between your knees as much as is okay for you. So really leading with the shoulder coming round rather than just bending over. And then we'll come back up, and then this time take the left shoulder down, really making the movement come from the shoulder here, stretching that shoulder down into the middle. This is a lovely stretch for the upper back. Then we'll do it again over to the other side, and then back up, and we'll do it once more over to the left hand side here, stretching the shoulder down in between the legs. And then let's come back up and walk the feet back in. We'll now come into, again, one of my other favourite postures that I do in almost every class, which is a seated twist. And that's because it's just so good for resetting the spine, and it can feel so satisfying to do it in a chair. So sitting up nice and tall, feet flat on the floor and about hip distance apart, sitting up nice and tall. Then bringing the right hand across to the left knee, and bringing the left hand around and to somewhere on your chair. Where you land will depend on your body and your chair, but just somewhere that feels like you're, accessible for you, not overdoing it. And then, a bit like we did in the last posture, think about leading with the shoulder, but this time, instead of the shoulder coming back forwards, the shoulder is going kind of back and round. So leading with the twist from the shoulder, turning your head to the side, maybe if it's okay for your neck, turning it towards the back corner of the room. Thinking about still lifting up here rather than collapsing back onto the chair. Lifting up through the spine, wringing out the sponge. And then let's gently unravel, bring it back to center, and then we'll take it over to the other side. So this time we'll bring the left hand across to the right knee. Right hand comes around and lands somewhere on your chair. And then again, leading that movement with the shoulder. So the shoulder kind of rolling back and round, turning to the side, maybe turning to look towards the back of the room, but keeping that length up through the spine, only going as far as it feels good for your body. If you're anything like me, this feels so satisfying. So just enjoy it. And then gently unraveling, coming back to center. So just a couple more things before we close our session today. And these last couple of things really come back to that theme, showing up for yourself, giving yourself a little bit of care and attention and time just for you. So I'm going to invite you to reach your hands out to the sides, maybe reaching the palms back a little way, the backs of the hands, and then wrap your arms round and give yourself a big hug. And as you do this, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes again and notice what it feels like to be held and to hold yourself. And I also want to invite you to remember back to the start of the class and that positive affirmation that I invited you to think to yourself. And I want you to think back to that positive affirmation again. So, whatever you chose, or you can choose a different one now, whatever comes up. I am enough. I am worthy. I've got this. I see you. I'm doing the best I can. Any of those. Whatever it is, just repeat it to yourself in your head as you hold yourself here. And then let's reach out. Whichever arm is on top, let's wrap the other way. Just give yourself a little hug the other way. And again, repeating that positive thing to yourself and feeling your own embrace. And then let's gently release that. Come down and know that whatever it was that you chose to say to yourself, as long as it was a positive thing, it's true. Believe it. I believe. And we will finish today with a little face massage, which is always so popular. I know when I do this with people face to face, and it's again a great one for just giving yourself a little bit of care and attention. So sitting up tall again, and just bring your hands to your face. And I'm going to suggest, first of all, just starting with maybe 2 fingers at the temples and just having a little massage there. Closing your eyes if you want to, so you can really see. There's not really anything that you can really feel it. There's not really anything to see. So massaging at the temples, and then maybe coming to the top, the hinge of the jaw, the point where the upper and lower jaw come together can often be really tight. So having a bit of a massage there. Maybe bringing your fingers to the insides of your eyebrows and then just pulling those fingers out across the eyebrows to the temples. Repeating that a couple of times, going across the eyebrows, across to the temples. And then let's take a similar movement below the eyes. So bringing the fingers to the top of the nose and then smoothing them around the eye sockets to the sides. This can really help with clearing out the sinuses. So just smoothing out across to the sides. And then maybe kind of massaging or pinching just along the length of the jaw. Maybe smoothing out the forehead. And then I'm going to invite you to just see if there's anywhere else, as you've been doing that, maybe there was somewhere that you just went, oh, that's the spot. Feel free to go back to that now, go a little bit freestyle, and just do something that feels really caring and nurturing for yourself. And if you want to continue going on with this, don't let me stop you. But that is where I am going to finish today's session. So thank you very much for sharing your time and energy with me. Well done for showing up. It truly is the hardest thing. And showing up just for yourself rather than for anybody else is sometimes even harder. So I congratulate you for that, and I hope to see you again soon.